In this lesson, it's time to continue refining our base mesh so that we can progress into the deeper analysis of the female torso. So these first few lessons, we're just going to go ahead and make sure that this torso base mesh fits a female pattern. Okay, it's just a nice, clean structure. Now, I'm going to be using, like I mentioned, a few images from 3D.sk, mainly this one here, and you can even find the set if you're a 3D.sk member and get the full image. I will not give these images out in the project files as we're not allowed to. So get a 3D.sk subscription, and this is something that I tell all of my students. Just go ahead, get a subscription, and just spend like 2 weeks downloading as many images as they let you, and then you don't need the subscription again for a while. So make sure you build up a nice big library of images to use. So anyway, you can see this is Vizieni, and this is the poses set that I got from 3D.sk. The thing I want you guys to see instantly is just the shapes of the torso. So the main thing is, ignoring the breasts here, is that the chest muscles come in nice and straight. Imagine a male torso, right? Just comes in straight like that. Have a little bit of a bump, another bump, comes down, another bump, goes in, out, and in. And this is fairly big for a drop. So we want to make sure we do that. And then as you can see, her scapula right here is going to go ahead and pop out quite nicely, and you see that on some of the images that I showed you. So it's going to come in really harshly, like really nice line, and then you can sort of follow the line behind the arm right there. Basically, it's a nice curve, really nice curve. So this is what I'm going to be using, and I have a little software here that's going to help me out. So I'm going to bring that up in a second. So I have this little software called InfraView, as you can see, InfraView or InfraView, and you can go ahead and go into the option settings with it and click always on top. And what that's going to mean is that if I click ZBrush, the image doesn't go away. So that means that I've effectively have the reference in front of me for working. Now I have two monitors, but that's fine. This is also really useful because it's right there in front of you. So let's go ahead and adjust this if we can. Now the first thing that I'm seeing here is just that the torso is way too slanted forward. So you see it's just at an angle like that, where really it should be a little bit more towards the back. So let's go ahead and just do a mask on the legs here. Remember, if any rotation is going to be around the pivot, so in this case the pivot will be the pelvis, and I'm just going to rotate it back like this, okay? And that's going to give us a nicer starting point. And you can even do it a little bit more like that, and that wouldn't be too horrible. So once that's done, let's go ahead and just adjust the shapes of this torso. So I'm going to remove my mask, and I think this here for now looks fine. I may lower the butt a little bit, but that's about it. And then following this line up, I think I have to push this in like that. And then I'm going to pull, but keep in mind that when you're pulling, you're trying to pull the scapula, which is this area right here. So if you see where it's masked, you want to get just this little area here that I've masked. So it's difficult to see, but as you can see, it's masked right there. I'm just going to pull that out like this, okay? And then I'm going to push this inward a little bit, just towards the middle, because we have the spinal column going in between. So this is basically what you're seeing right here. And then you can always just go up here and see really nicely what's going on. So take a look. It's a line that comes in, right? Analyze the reference, simplify it. So it's a line that comes in, it has a little bit of a hit, and then right here it goes straight almost into the neck, which goes around like so, and in that direction, like that. So we don't need to make the full neck. This will do for us. And don't make very thick necks because females do not have thick necks. Women in general have thin necks like so. And then you can see how instantly we've already sort of created this little back silhouette to match. Now I'm going to pull this torso out a little bit more towards the front right there. And the rib cage for me is too low, if you guys can see. So I'm going to make this higher like that. And I'm going to straighten this out a little bit more. Pull this down. And then just smooth it out a little bit. Just give it that nice hit. Looking for that nice geometric shape. Straight lines, curves, just look for those in the reference. And then you can add the bumps, but we'll add those a little bit later on with the sculpt. But you can see how vital reference really is for sculpting anatomy. And there's no secret here. I didn't skip ahead. I didn't do anything. We had a really simple base mesh that you can start with, and just by using the move tool, you can get to where you need to go. There's no sculpting involved, honestly. It's just moving around the points. Now, the thing that I want you guys to see, and it may be difficult to sort of see this, I sculpt a lot of anatomy, and since I'm trying to show you guys this, it might be a little bit difficult because maybe only I can see this because my eyes are used to it. But right here is where the rib cage is supposed to come in, and I see that this area here is coming in really nicely. But the rib cage needs to come in around there. So what that means is we need to pull this back like so. You see what I mean? Like how we can create the silhouette for the rib cage. Remember that the rib cage is basically, if I draw it out really simply here, it's basically like this, right? With the sternum in the middle, and then you got your sixth and your seventh, and so on and so forth. So what you need is for these to start going towards the back right here. Okay? Just make sure you have that spacing available, because if you look at our reference, it's difficult to see. You have to train your eyes to see it. But look at this line that we have right there. This is her rib cage. Okay? Right there. And that's what we're trying to sort of mimic while we're doing this. And that's why reference is so important. So something like this gives us that line right there and gets us to a starting point. And instantly from the front also shapes the torso. So something like this is where we want to go. And obviously we're not going to be talking about the arms in this course. That's for a future one. Like we did the other ones, it's going to be a nice series for us to study this in parts and with enough time to not rush anything. But if you've done that course, then you know all the shapes, and all I'm going to say is that you should make sure that this is bulky enough and at the same time delicate enough. But we'll cover that more in depth when the time comes. Just remember that the acromion process allows for a little slant towards the back. It's a negative angle, so it's not like that, it's like that. So make sure you have that little slant on the shoulder, and then we'll be good to go. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull out the bicep right here, and a little bit of the tricep, not too much, but that's enough. We don't have to do much more than that for the arms. We can thicken them up a little bit like this, okay? But that's about it. Women in general aren't going to have very thick, meaty, defined arms. So this is about as good as we need to go. So that's our torso more or less structured from the side view. Now let's go ahead and talk about the front view. We're going to do that with a little bit more of a slower pace and analyzing a few more images in the next lesson. I'll see you guys there.